Hey, and I am live. Oh my goodness, it's been a minute. Welcome back, Mom Nurse the family. Today in this video, I'm gonna be talking about your blessings. Baby, are you ready to get your blessings? Are y'all ready? It's 2024. We just not quite halfway through the year, only 5 months in. And I got some awesome news for y'all. I got some awesome nursing remote jobs for y'all. 2024 remote nursing jobs. Not just LPNs, RNs, but also medical assistants and nursing assistants, CNAs, CMAs. Baby, I got it for everybody. So anyway, if you're watching a replay, make sure you send a like. Make sure you give a like so you know YouTube know your girl is back on here with all the good news and all the great things. I missed y'all so much. It has been a good while. I know it's been a lot going on. I don't know if y'all been following me on TikTok, on thank you for the like, on my Instagram, or on here on my shorts, because life been real crazy. And so I don't even have time to like put videos up. Y'all, I have videos going all the way back to January when I got my remote job, right? And I edited the video, but I think it's like one thing I need to finish editing, and then I started doing videos throughout, and I just haven't had time. I know you may see me kind of active on Instagram and kind of active on TikTok, but it is so much easier to do a short. So every day for months I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna go live so I can talk to my family over here on YouTube because I miss y'all. But life be life, and I just don't have time. So today I actually supposed to be handling some business for my daddy, and I was like, you know what, let me just jump on here real quick, because I was actually finna create some content about what I was wearing today. And then I sat down, literally sat down, and I was like, oh my God, I could jump in front of the camera right quick and do a quick little video. So the purpose of this video is just to come on here and talk about, are you ready for your blessings? Because for the past week, I've been hearing get ready. And I've been hearing get ready. I did a video, a short over on my TikTok. I haven't put it over here, but on my TikTok, I was my girlfriend, my birthday was on the 15th, a week and a half ago, my birthday. And so we had went to dinner, and they was playing music and stuff. And so, you know, they was like, it's your birthday. So I got up and I was dancing, because listen, like, I have come a long way in this year, because this year has been emotionally draining and stressful. And so I was just happy, like, I'm literally out the house. Like, God has been doing a big thing in me, my family, in my father life, in my daddy life. I don't call him father, that sounds so weird, but in my daddy life. And so, you know, I just have a lot to celebrate. I'm always dance. I'm always, if I hear music, I love music. That's me. I love God. But he already know, like, his daughter, he already know how I love me some music. So anyway, I had did a short, and then on that short, I was talking about the different things that has happened throughout this year. And so if y'all don't know, I had put up in February about, I don't know if I put a picture up. I feel like I put a picture up, but I don't know. But I was asking y'all to pray for my dad, because at the time he was in ICU. And so kind of what happened, you know, my daddy had an accident and police found him, and he was in ICU, and I got a call, and I was like, you know, stop playing, because I just saw my daddy like a couple days ago. So stop playing with me. And lo and behold, he was in the hospital. And so it has been a trying time, because my dad now has a brain injury. And so anybody that's in the medical field, anybody that understand brain injuries know, you know, how serious that is. So now I have become caregiver for my dad, and it has been a whole ordeal. And I feel like I have had a spiritual awakening. I felt like that before this even happened to me with this instant. But since this has happened with my dad, it has really opened my eyes to things, to a lot of things. My eyes was already open before February about a lot of things that's going on, but this has really opened my eyes. During the time of me not being on here, I have found a lot of jobs. So the jobs that I talked about the jobs that I talked about in the beginning of the video, I have found so many jobs for nurses and CNAs. I just started back taking, thank you for the light. I just started back taking, hold up, I gotta get some cover, because I am like freezing. But I just started back taking clients for my business. I had to put my business on hold. My work from home job had really took a lot out of me, because I was working 8 to 5 at the beginning during training. We had to be there 8 to 5. And then once we got out of training, we could get there like at 9 o'clock. And then around that time when that started, that I could go into work later, my dad had went into ICU, was admitted into ICU. And so then like everything in my life pretty much stopped, right? And so thank y'all for the prayers, for the encouragement, and everything. Me and my family really appreciate it. This has been a very trying time. I haven't got onto live because I felt like I wasn't emotionally ready to talk. Not talk about what happened with my daddy, but just talk about, you know how I get on here and I just talk about God and the goodness of God and things going on. And I just wasn't ready to talk because I was so emotional. I was an emotional mess. And so now I could talk. Like, I took him to the doctor, his appointment, and I was talking to his doctor about things. And, you know, he has a brain injury. So I have to like be the main one, you know, and talking about what's going on with him and his health. And I was able to talk about it. Like it's hard, but I was able to talk about it. So that's why I decided to come on and tell y'all about these jobs and give y'all some awesome tips, because I'm noticing a lot of things. I've been seeing a lot of things going on with my clients. And to let y'all know, I am back working with clients. I had to stop. I had a client reach out to me because, you know, if I find jobs for you, I send you your initial job posting, and then once I send you that job post, then if more jobs come in, I just continue to send you those for free, like for no cost, because, you know, that's how I go. Really, that's how I go. You fill out the applications, and then that's not it with me. I'll continue to send you jobs. So they had emailed me about that, and I was like, I can't take any clients right now. I'm not helping anybody. I have to like help myself. At the end of the day, like, I'm a single mama, so that's a whole job in itself. Then I work, and then my daddy go in the hospital. So during the time of my daddy going into the hospital, I was reading my journal this morning, and I had wrote in there, and I was surprised I was still journaling, because in between, you know, trying to relay the information that's going on with my dad to my family. And it wasn't just my sisters and my mom, it was also to his brothers, to his nephews, like to his family and his friends. It was so draining. It's like having to give a report as a nurse to several people, and it's also something very emotional. So anyway, you know, that was very emotional time for me. Not only since then, y'all, since then, when my dad was in the hospital, I found out, I had got a call, and it was like, we selling your house. And I was like, I don't have time for this. Like, my daddy is in the hospital fighting for his life, and I ain't got time. What the hell ever? Because I had been waiting for my lease renewal information, and I hadn't received nothing. I was like, that's weird. They should have been sent it to me. Well, that's why they didn't. So then I'm trying to handle a household. Like, I'm still working because I never told my job what happened. The only thing I told my supervisor, I was like, hey, you know, I might have to like not be in a call if the doctors call me, because they have to get consent for me to do something for my dad. Unless it's an emergency thing, you know, they just go ahead and do it. But a lot of times, like, to put in the line, they had to call me, like all this different stuff they had to do for daddy. They had to call me to get consent, and then it was just legal stuff. It was just still stuff going on, but so much going on. I still was showing up to my desk every day, and I honestly don't know how I was doing it. So then on top of that, I got to find somewhere for me and my girls to stay, which I had a lot of drama from from my property, the people I was renting from, and I was kind of not wanting to stay there. But I was forced. Now I'm getting forced out my house. Like, they pretty much kicking me out the house, me and my girls. And I got to find us somewhere to stay. But I also got to show up for my daddy. I also got to go to the hospital. I also got to talk to the doctors. I also got to stay on the nurses' asses about why they not doing this for my daddy, why they doing that. My cousin is also a nurse, so she was always visiting my daddy. So it helped, like, for both of us to have our eyes on daddy, from not just cuz talking to my sister and mama down. It'll do that. And so I don't know. Anyway, okay, I'm back. I'm sorry. But what I was saying was, it's enough that I have to deal with that, right? So I think back to like the first week, like the first week that happened. You know, it's like everything is traumatic, and everything, the way it happened, was very traumatic. And then when I had just seen my daddy, and then I get a call from the hospital, and I was like, why would the hospital call me? I knew what hospital was, so I'm like, why would they call me? It must be daddy. I'm like, well, why wouldn't he just call me from his phone, you know? So I'm like, okay, well, whatever, hoo hoo ha ha. Thank you for coming in. Make sure you send a like. I'm leaving off from where I was at because my phone died. I didn't know it to put me right back where I was at. But anyway, so you know, and it was just like I was trying to hold myself together, and also I didn't want to be emotional around my little kids. Like my daughter knew exactly what happened, everything, my oldest, but I didn't want to be like putting all that on them and stuff, and it was just hard. And I was, you know, I was like, I felt like I was fighting. I was just fighting to be a mama, fighting to work, fighting. Now I got to find somewhere to move. So, you know, so it was just a lot. And then maybe, so like 2 months later, everything moved fast. I found a house. My oldest was helping me find houses and everything like that, right? And I remember I went to see Pastor Mike back in December. And I don't know if y'all know Pastor Mike Jr. You know, he's a pastor, but I love his music too. His music has gotten me through a lot of things. And so at his concert, he was like, suddenly, you know, suddenly starting in December, not 2024, but now so many things gonna start happening for you. And lo and behold, like things started happening for me. So many great things, you know, because I was going through a lot of stuff then. You know, it was just God was really working on my life, and I know he was only doing that so that I could see the goodness in him and give him his glory and show people who he really is. You know, I always talk about God and faith, but like last year I had lost my faith, and I really got to see who God was. And so suddenly I got this work from home job that I did not apply for. Like I never went into detail to y'all about how job, which I have a video. I need to put it up, but I never talked to y'all about how I got the job. I never applied for it. I literally had a recruiter call me, and the recruiter was like, hey, we see that you have experience. Are you interested in this job? And I was like, yeah, of course I'm interested. Yeah. And he was like, okay, well, this is stuff you need to do to type and test, making sure that your internet is fast enough and all this. Do you have a secure place to work from home and all that stuff like that? Everything happened so fast, suddenly, like literally they text me, they called me, they talked to me for a few minutes, and I talked to the hiring manager like 2 days later. He called me like the day of, can you do an interview today? No. He called me the day, I scheduled an interview with the manager, the hiring manager. It was only a phone interview, y'all. For HEDIS, to get a HEDIS job, you have to get through the recruiter. First of all, your resume got to be selected. Get through to the recruiter. And unfortunately, you can have the best resume, but because everything is so hard, they use AI, they use all this stuff, you know, now to get the candidates. It just made life so hard now getting a job. That was one thing I want to talk to y'all about on here, which I will, with these work from home jobs. And so then, excuse me, and so then the manager calls me, the recruiter calls me like, can you do an interview today? No. Okay, can you do it in 2 days? Cool. I do the interview, and she like, okay, thank you. And at night, I found I got the job. You have to get through to the recruiter, which I just said. Get your resume selected, get through to the recruiter, do the resume with the recruiter, and then they'll select you. And if they think you're a good candidate, send you to the hiring manager. But before you do that, you got to take 2 tests. And then the hiring manager may talk to you on the phone, and they may decide, you know, if you're a good candidate, and then they'll push you through and you'll do a face-to-face interview. I did none of that stuff. So like, I was like, oh my God, suddenly, like this is what he talking about, suddenly. Suddenly everything started falling into place. It was like perfect, you know. Then my granny got home from skilled nursing rehab, and so then I started taking care of her, and then I started interviewing people again. Last year I talked about that when that happened with my granny. She went back in rehab and came back out in January, and then I started hiring people, and then that worked. But then I was like working during the week, going to take care of my granny on the weekend, and it was so stressful because it was like I was working 7 days a week. Okay, whatever. Then when that happened, my daddy got in ICU, so it was like all these things was piling heavy on me, and I was barely getting any rest. But I was just doing what the hell I had to do, because you know I got to show up as a granddaughter, I got to show up as a daughter, and that's just what you have to do. That's just what it is. I mean, that's just what I did. But in the same time, I was still looking for people to cover for the weekend, and suddenly I finally found a place, applied, and everything happened in a week. I got approved. Like everything just happened like wondrously for me. Wondrously, y'all. I found the place the day that I had took one of my kids to a dental appointment, and I was like, girl, let's go by and look at this place right quick since we in the area. Came by, and the landlords happened to be at the place, and they was like, you want to go look at it? I was like, yeah, I want to look at it. Cool. And I was like, oh my God, I could move here today. Like, I love it. I love the vibe. Like I could feel good energy, everything. I'm like, okay, this is good. So then his wife came out and she was like, hey, I'm a realtor, this and that. Here's my card. Let me know when you fill out application. I'm like, okay, boom, boom, bam. Okay, God, I see you. I do the application. I was nervous as hell. I'm like, okay, good. Everything is good. I'm working. This, la, la, la. Everything working out good. I'm like, okay, God, I see you. I see you. I see what you're doing there, God. And then fast forward a couple of days, she was like, you approve. Everything went through. We need proof of funds, all this stuff like that, right? Risa Tisa, like, I never heard people say I need proof of funds until Risa Tisa. Girl. So, but she's a realtor, so that made sense. So she was like, you know, I need proof of funds and all that stuff like that. So I got her the proof of funds, and then and then like the same day I got approved. Like I got the timestamps because I got a video of me and my girls. Like I showed them the email. I got the email and everything, and it was like, you're approved. Literally, I went to talk to my I took a break and called my dad's brother, and I had a missed call during that call, and I was like, oh well, I'll call him back. I don't know who that was, but it was my recruiter. I didn't know. My recruiter called me and said, your job let you go. And I was like, oh, okay. And he was like really distraught. And I was like, he was like, do you know why? And I said, no, I don't know why. And he was like, are you sure? I was like, no. I mean, I know I've been busy with appointments with my dad, because by this time, fast forward, God is so good. Like my daddy had got out of ICU, went to progressive care, and went into a rehab hospital. But while he was there, he had important appointments that he had to do. And so I told my manager, like, hey, you know, I'm gonna have these appointments. I am my dad's caregiver, and this is what I have to do. Like, you know, this is what it is. And she was like, okay, that's fine. Just make sure you email me, put it on your calendar. So if you're not there at a meeting, I'll know why. But I was always able to make the meetings. I was always able to keep my productivity up. I was always able, I mean, to make up my hours. She even let us make up our hours on the weekends or at night. So sometimes I was tired because I was getting up early in the morning, going to take my daddy to his appointments, coming back home to work up until like 9 or 10 o'clock at night on the computer doing a work from home job. But that's what happened with that. And so like all these awful things happened. Then, you know, the house, I had to move out. That was horrible, having to move out the house, losing my job, losing a job that I wanted so bad, like the job that I had prayed for, the job that, you know, that I had been wanting. But I didn't question God, because this happened to me in 2020. And in 2020, I felt like this was another test from God. 2020 to 2023, I mean, it was hard for me because I didn't understand why God did that. Like, why would you take my job and you know I got these kids? Like, I didn't do anything. Then fast forward in 2024, the same thing happens, right? And so I still didn't look at it. It was horrible. It was a horrible thing that happened. It was very, very horrible, because we need our income to take care of our families. But I also looked at it as a blessing, because at the time I was doing maybe 3 appointments a week with my dad, and I was having to see about my dad and go up to the facility and make sure everything is going right. Talk to all the people and understand this and get doctor's orders. It's not like daddy could do anything. I had to do everything, and it was a lot, and it was just a lot. And so the reason why I titled this, your blessings are coming, because they coming. Like, get ready for your blessings. But we have to stay faithful, and we have to know that God, like, everything God does is very strategic. And I see how God has done everything very strategic for me. Like, I look back and I be like, dang, okay, well, I guess you handled it this way, right? You handled it that way. And so we have to stay very strategic. Now, talking about the work from home jobs, there are several work from home companies that are hiring. They're hiring for, I've been finding a lot of RN, LPN, and CMA, medical assistant jobs. So the RN, LPN, and CMA jobs that I've been finding, they're basically because excuse me, because they are hiring CMAs, the jobs aren't paying that high. I mean, for MA, they're paying a lot, but for RN or LPN, it may not be a lot. The type of jobs that you're doing is companies are looking for you to do like triage on the phone, or so you do have to talk on the phone. I don't understand. If maybe y'all could leave a comment. I don't really, honestly, and y'all know I'm real. If you're new to my channel, I'm very real and transparent, and I just ask questions and you could comment or whatever. But I don't understand why people don't want to talk on the phone. Like, the jobs I'm giving y'all, I have not found any call center type jobs. So I can understand people don't want to do call center. To be honest, I kind of look at a job as a doggone job, because at the end of the day, like, my job got taken right from me, out my hands. I ain't did nothing. I was the best employee. I was wonderful. The way I am on here, I show up, I put my all in everything, right? So I feel like if you are blessed to find if you want a remote job, right, and you blessed to find a remote job, because remote jobs are not hard. I find remote jobs all day, every day. But if you are blessed to become a candidate of a remote job and you are being picky because you don't want to work in no call center or you don't want to talk on the phone, why did you even become a nurse? Because as the nurses, we talk to our patients, we talk to the doctors, we talk to the techs, the assistants, we talk to the family members, we educate. Like, that's what we do, right? So you want to be a robot behind a phone? Like, I don't understand. Number two, I understand if you are a mom, because I work with a lot of moms. I work with a lot of women who are pregnant or just had babies and they need to work from home. I get that 1000%. So I can understand that. And maybe you don't want to be on the phone as much, but you have to remember, as a nurse, we have to communicate and you have to reach out and you have to call. And most of our jobs as the remote, because when I first started doing TikTok, God bless their hearts, but they didn't understand, like, how can you be a CNA and not and work from home? Like, girl, don't come on my TikTok with that. Like, you need to go educate yourself before you're trying to get spotted, because you must don't know me. Like, I don't be rude to people, but I'm gonna tell you like it is and what it is. And so the same way, you may not do hands-on care, right, for your patients, but you also have to talk and triage your patients. You have to communicate with your patients and find out how your patients are doing, depending on what area of nursing you're working in. You may be working in for a dialysis. You may be working for an insurance company where you got to call these offices and find out where the medical records are. Or maybe you got a question about a medical record that you receive. Or maybe you receive a medical record for the wrong patient. Like we can't be like that in this time and day. Like, society have to do better with wanting to communicate and talk with each other. And I'm starting to find that out, because since my daddy, and this has happened to my daddy, a lot of different stuff have fell between the cracks. And one thing you're not going to do is play in my face about anybody that I love and care about. And so I have had to, like, not go off on the DON disrespectfully, but tell her, like, y'all need to get some better systems and protocols in place, because y'all letting stuff fall between the crack. And I can't be at home working, taking care of my family, and be here trying to make sure y'all doing what y'all supposed to do for my daddy. Like, I'm talking about, like, be a supervisor. I can't do that. And I think that's what's wrong with society. Like, everybody don't know, nobody knows how to talk to people no more. Like, nobody knows how to communicate. And communicate is like the key. Like, that's the key. Like, we have to know how to work together and we have to know how to communicate. And so I don't know if that's why people I don't know if that's why people do not want a job where you have to communicate on the phone, but that to me is weird, because I feel like you should be blessed, you should be happy enough to understand. I mean, blessed and happy enough, and I don't know, and appreciative is the word, to want to work from home, to be able to work from home, even if you have to talk on the phone. In the nursing field, it is several remote jobs out here where you don't have to talk on the phone. But that's our number one job. Like, why did you become a nurse? Like, that's your number one job, to talk. You have to communicate. If it's not with the patient, it's with the doctor. The doctor need to know what's going on with their patient. You triage them. You got to make sure that your patient is educated and understand why they're taking a certain medication, or why they can't have a certain type of food, or why they have to take a medication a certain time of day. So I don't understand, like, why people don't want to talk on the phones. That's weird. So the jobs that I do find, for anybody in healthcare, you do have to talk on the phone. Be it if you're doing telehealth and you remote patient monitoring, meaning remotely you're monitoring them from your home, monitoring them from your home via a database, a software that these companies are using, or maybe you are receiving medical records via a database, and you have to go through the different medical records and you have to, abstract and take that information out. Maybe you're looking for something, depending on what type of company you're working for, but that's mainly what we do. I am finding a lot of remote jobs too that are requiring you to have a certain certificate, like coding, which if you have a certificate in coding, like, you're gonna make way more money. You're gonna make easily $10 more. I'm not exaggerating. Like, you're gonna easily make $5 more an hour, like, because certifications are everything. So if you have certification, if you are a bilingual nurse, bilingual don't only mean Spanish. I think people forget, like, bi means two, so that means like more than one language. And so if you speak more than one language, please make sure that's on your resume, because I am finding so many jobs. I'm not exaggerating. I'm gonna start back. So what I used to do, I used to put the links to the, if it's more than one job, I will put the link and I will create like, I don't know, a document, and I'll put all the different jobs under there and put them on my blog. But lately I've been I just been creating job listings for people that, you know, that's looking for specific types of jobs in specific areas. And that's one of my services that I offer. Also, if you have a compact license, please make sure you put that, please make sure you put that on your excuse me. Please make sure you put that on your resume. Y'all, you got to put that on your resume. That's another thing. Key things to put on there, easy things that'll get you a job. You got a compact license. You're bilingual, trilingual. I work with some clients that speak more than three different languages, you know, and that got them a good job as well. But you just got to make sure you're putting that stuff on your resume. You got to make sure that if you know somebody in a field that you're trying to get into, make sure you talk to them. A lot of people come to me because they think like I could get them in the door. I have relationships with recruiters, but like you got to do the same type of work. Unless you know somebody that knows somebody, unless you know like me. Okay, so for instance, if you're a nurse in Jacksonville, right? I had a nurse that I know that is literally right now creating a job description because she's looking for a RN case manager, like right now. If I have a real personal relationship like that, then that may be different. But the relationships that I have with, oh, and if you're in Jacksonville, Florida, make sure you DM me or contact me and you're RN. I can definitely, that's a direct, like she's looking for people. That's a direct. But the remote jobs that I find, the recruiters that contact me, you know, recruiters, that's how they get paid. But at the same time, you got to go through the same process. But now we need to go back old school. I was listening to Dave Ramsey. I talk about him every now and again. I love Dave Ramsey, and they was talking about it, about how people don't know how to go old school with stuff. Far as old school, they're saying like, okay, go to somebody you know that work in the field. Like we nurses, so we know tons of people that work. Nursing medical world is so small. It's big, but it's so small. So you know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. It's kind of hard when you're looking for a specific job, especially if it's non-bed. Sometimes it's, especially today, it's easy to get a bedside job because it's a nursing shortage. But if you're looking for like a specific non-bedside job, maybe you're looking for a position like that at a hospital or a facility where you work at now, or in a company where you work at now, maybe go to somebody within that company and see if they can help you, right? But if you need your resume, if you need to make sure you have a great resume, then you could come to me for help, because what I do now, I do resume reviews, I do resume audits, review it. I tell you, okay, it is what it is. This is what it is. Audits, I go deep into it and we go line by line. If you need additional help, I do coaching. I provide that. But I changed up on my resume services because, you know, it's just it was becoming time consuming, and I like to kind of pivot in my services and everything and see what works the best. And so yeah. But please take heed to those tips. They're gonna help you tremendously, I promise you. Okay, so Franny said, I agree, communication is down the drain these days. Communication is key. Communication is really down the drain. Like I found out so excuse me, my daddy. So when he got transferred from ICU, if I wasn't able to go out and see him because I was just tired, and my sister, usually every day somebody saw my daddy, if not more than one person. And then they would just give me a report of what was going on and how he was doing, because I just could not get to him. I would just be too tired, you know. And I usually wasn't going to see him until at night. I put my kids to bed and then I go out and see him. And and when I call, or if not, I will call. I wait until, because I'm like, okay, well, I kind of learned how the nurses moved in ICU. You know what time they, you know, of course, what time they do shift change, but I knew like what time they would give the meds and everything and what time it would be done. And so then I'd be like, okay, they'll have more downtime this time. So I would call and get a report and see how my daddy doing. When I called, the clerk didn't know where my daddy was at. I was on the phone for 15 minutes. In between her being on hold, and I was like, ma'am, he right there, because my daddy room was like right by the nurse's station. And she's like, no one's in that room. And I was like, what the hell do you mean? So I was trying to stay calm, texting my mom and them at the same time, and I'm like, where is my daddy? It took her 15 minutes, but it took a whole nother clerk to find out where my daddy was at. And I was so angry, because I'm like, where is y'all communication? So I reported it to patient relations, and patient relations, you know, they got it handled with the nursing supervisor, the nurse manager on the floor. And she's like, we put protocols in place because that's something that should have never happened. Like, what the hell? Y'all call me about everything else. You won't tell me. That's awesome. That's amazing news. Why not call and tell me that my daddy been transferred to a progressive care floor? And then it was just different things from there. Different things from there. And I tell him, I was like, I don't like when things fall between the cracks because it's just communication. It's so simple. Like the nurses wouldn't tell me what was going on with my daddy. I was feeling some kind of way. Like I go on the floor and I'd be like, what's going on? But you know why? Because they didn't even know what was going on with my daddy. And I had this brand new nurse, God bless her soul, like she was brand new. Like I could tell she was like straight out of nursing school. And I used to pray over my daddy hard because I already know, you have some incompetent people. And I was like, God just bless my daddy, to care of my daddy. And I would ask them questions and they would be so lost. And I'm like, how you don't even know that? Like, aren't you the nurse? Like what y'all talking about to them? And then the only reason this one particular nurse did was because the nurse, I used to work at this hospital, and the case manager knew me, and we was talking, and she was acting weird, like, oh, like it shouldn't even took all that. You should have just been on your job. Like, why you acting slow? And then I found out the day before that, like, my daddy had an NG tube, and she was trying to push his meds down the NG tube, and he was laying flat on his back. That was my cousin I was talking about earlier. She a nurse, and she texted me, and she was like, girl, you won't believe what they doing in here with, with your daddy and stuff. And I'm sitting here looking at this heifer like, girl, what? This is why we have to pray. People got to stop. And this wasn't no brand new nurse. This lady was old. Like she was a seasoned nurse, a very seasoned nurse. She been a nurse for a long time. And so it just irritated me. Hey, y'all, welcome in. Make sure y'all hit a like. Welcome. I missed y'all. But anyway, and so it just irritates me. And she then sat down with me and opened up the computer and told me everything that was going on. Just like one nurse in ICU, she sat there and she went through my daddy record with me, explained all his meds, the reason why he was getting them. And I never told nobody I was a nurse. The only time I said I was a nurse was the second night I went to see him, and I was so emotional because it was the second night of ICU, and the nurse was amazing, and I didn't know how to accept he was trying to comfort me, and it was so weird because I don't know. And he was like, do you understand everything that's going on? And I said, yes, I'm a nurse, but this is weird for me because, it's like my daddy over there. And so he was very helpful. He explained everything. All the nurses in ICU was amazing, actually, except for one of the clerks that was real nasty to me. But I got her together, and I don't care because you're not finna be rude to me during this emotional time. Like, my daddy in ICU with a whole ventilator. Like, the man is trying to live, and you're being nasty to me. And you need to retire because she was old. I don't know. That's another rant. But I was like, other than that, I didn't have no issues. But this particular nurse, no nurses never sat with me. And then it was another nurse, when I worked there, she remembered me, and we talked for a long time. Like, we talked for like 30 minutes, and she was explaining everything to me. And I was like, this is all I be wanting nurses to do, is tell me what's going on with my daddy. I shouldn't have to come up on the floor and be like, hey, so how daddy doing today? And they be looking at me, y'all, like how my nursing instructors used to say, like a deer caught in headlights. They would be just, and I'm like, you don't know what's going on with daddy? Like, what did the doctor say? What did they say on their rounds this morning? Like, page, and I'll be like, can you page Dr. So-and-so? And the doctors will come up, and they'll just chill in the room and talk to me. And I'm like, this is what nurses should have told me. What the hell? And so that's why communication is so big, because this is your patient. Like, this is somebody, family member, or maybe they don't have no family member. Like, what if my daddy didn't even have people, excuse me, and y'all have taken care of him? Like, I don't play that crap. Like, I do not play that mess. And after that, like, things seemed to be a little better, and he had the same nurse every night, and that made me feel good. And the other nurse that I had sat and talked with for 30 minutes, she had him some nights, but she didn't really have him a lot. But his other nurse was better. And it was just, it's already a lot emotionally. And then you have people who don't want to communicate. Like, let's do better. Like, my daddy missed his whole VA appointment when he was in rehab because a lack of communication and them not just simply wanting to do their job. And I think that's just sorry. Like, come on, let's do better. Like, we have to do better in healthcare. Like, healthcare is falling. Healthcare is just going downhill because people just don't want to do their job. And I understand you wore out and you tired, but at the same time, when you stop caring for your patients and stop having compassion and empathy, I feel like you just need to get out the field. Like, period. I really do. I feel like you need to go and work another job, because these are real life human beings. Like, these ain't no mannequins. We ain't in nursing school no more, in lab, like, this is real life. Like, a real life human in your hands. And if you don't understand something, you don't need to do it. So I don't know. But anyway, that's my rant. But I wanted I just wanted to talk to y'all about that. I'll start posting short videos. You know how I come on here and how I used to come on here and be like, oh, so and so company is hiring. So that's what I'm gonna start doing. I'm gonna come back whenever I feel like coming back. But I have a lot of videos. I had one mom reach out to me and ask me, how do I work from home as a mom? So one way that I work from home is, I don't know, my kids are so much older. You know, my kids are older, but I can tell you this. When I was a telehealth nurse, my kids were, one was in middle school and the other three were what, 2 and 3, and then 3 and 4. They were 3 and 4 and then 4 and 5 because my middle one was in kindergarten then. And so I they were little then, and I used to have to work on the weekends. I had to still monitor my patients on the weekends, and I would tell them straight up, mommy got to call her patients, mommy got to check on her patients, y'all gonna have to sit down. And that also helped me because I had a mentor back then, and she an old school mentor from my church, and she used to be like, you got to teach your kids how to sit down on the sofa and get that belt. Like, she old school, and I love her. Like, she helped me because around that time I was very, 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 very stressed. And you know, it was like having three babies at one time. And she really helped me. And as they got older, she was like, you're going to have to discipline them. Like, you're going to have to teach them how to sit down. Because what if y'all go out and what if y'all go to church? Like, they got to know how to sit down. And so I literally like used to tell them, I have to talk to my patients. Mommy have to work. And they understood that. Like, little kids know what doctors and nurses are, you know. And so I used to be like, mommy got to go in the room, I close my door, and sometimes they'll try to come in there and I'd be like, you got to go sit down because I got to talk to my patients. And so I think you got to teach your kids, like, talk to them and let them understand you're going to be home more. Because my kids tried me in this job I had, this job, they started trying me and they were older. I'm like, y'all not going to do that just because I'm here. I'm working. Like, y'all got to do what y'all supposed to do. And so, for instance, when they was in school, because my kids are school age, so when they was in school during my lunch break, so the month in January, I worked the whole month of January before my daddy went to the hospital because life changed. Life was upside down. So the month of January, on my lunch break, is when I used to do Walmart delivery. So I get stuff delivered to the house, or I do a Walmart pickup order. I'll kind of be organized with dinner. I try to put dinner on my lunch break because it don't take long to like wash no meat, throw it in the oven, or whatever you're going to do with your dinners. I try to do that. I go to the grocery store on my lunch break. But then I started having to pick them up. So I was very strategic with my time. I was very strategic. I did a video, but I can't even remember because I did that video way in January. But I actually did like explanations. So like I show you what I was doing, then I talk about it. I eat. Oh yeah, because I did a video showing me eating in the car, sitting at the bus stop waiting for my kids. Like, I did all kind of stuff. But you just got to try to do the best you could do because it depends on the age of your kids, because everybody's kids is different. You got to know your kids. Get help. My oldest helped me out a lot. I don't know. Like, I don't know any other ideas right now off the top of my head. But I'm going to put that video up, and I'm going to go into detail in that video. But it's just kind of hard, you know, because my kids are school age. I don't know how people work from home with their kids at home. I'm just going to be honest. I don't really know how they do it. Because even when my kids were like, I didn't have to talk to nobody with this HEDIS job I had. I didn't have to talk on the phones at all or nothing like that. My first HEDIS job I did, that when I didn't have to talk on the phone. And so it made it easier. So when they came home, you know, I'd just be like, hey, sit down, be quiet. I can't concentrate because you have to focus on reading on medical records and stuff. But like, I didn't, so it made it easier, you know. Hey, do your homework. I mean, I had a schedule for them. So every time they came home, you know, they had their snack, their downtime, do homework, dinner, bath, you know, stuff like that. But by the time all that happened, I'd be getting off of work, depending on what was going on. Because our manager she was real flexible. So like, if we had a holiday on a Monday, like Monday is a holiday, she would let us do 10-hour days. Then, because if you in a contract, you don't get PTO. So she'll be like, hey, you can work 10-hour days to make up for that day you're going to miss. She was real cool with that. You know, if you got an appointment, you can work late in the day. She didn't care. Like, we had an old lady on our team, and she was like, you know, after 8 hours, my eyes get, she said after like 6 hours or something like that, her eyes get tired looking at the computer. So she'll make up her hours on the weekend. My manager was cool with that. So it just depends. I think it depends on your manager. It depends on the company. It depends on your household. But working from home with kids is very hard. I don't know how people do it. When I have clients that have babies, I pray for them all the time, because when I think back, I mean, the last babies I had were twins. So I couldn't even imagine having no twins working from home. But like I can't imagine it because I was so busy when my kids were babies and they were home. I wouldn't even have the mental capacity to try to work. But I think it's amazing that moms can. I'd be so happy. One of my videos I did a short and I was crying in that video and I was looking at the computer. It was because one of my clients had finally found, I found them a job. That was why they became my client. But they had finally got a job that hired them because it is hard here, y'all, trying to get a remote job. I'm not gonna lie. I find jobs all the time, and y'all know I'm transparent. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, you know, girl, you apply and it's gonna be easy. You're gonna get it. No, because everybody want to work from home. Life is hard. People got to go back to work. People trying to do 2 jobs. Everything is expensive. Times are just hard, and so everybody is trying to work from home, and so it just really makes, you know, it just really makes it very competitive. And so yeah, I was so happy, and she sent me a beautiful Christmas card, and I was like, oh my God, thank you, Jesus. And I pray for all my clients all the time, but like it just, that thing just like warmed my heart because I'm like, oh my God, she got the job, like finally. It's just, you know, it's perfect. Like that's really perfect. So yeah, if you have kids, God bless you. If you have little kids, like daycare and under kids, because my kids are older, and so I don't know. And if you have multiple kids, God bless you. You know, so I do have people coming on here too asking me about school, and I'm glad people are still finding my LPN videos. In 2019, I did my last prereq so I could go back to RN school. You know, if you don't know my story from way back when I first started YouTube, I was actually in RN school, and a year into RN school, I got kicked out of RN school because not because of my grades, but because of the ATI test. Y'all know the assessment test. Whatever school, nursing school you was in, y'all had to do those tests. And man, I could not pass them tests for nothing. It was so aggravating, and I was so hurt, and I wanted to give up on nursing. But actually the doctor, the nursing encouraged me to go to LPN school, and that's actually how I got into LPN school. And so I was like, okay, I had an opportunity. So I always talk about the opportunity, and I'm very transparent. When I was an instructor, I used to be so transparent with my students. We used to talk about everything in class, and I used to be like, just because I'm a nurse, don't make it seem like I'm not gonna sit here and act like I'm better than y'all. I'm not better than y'all. And so in 2018, I found out my students, I was still teaching in 2017, and they told me that the Section 8 thing was opening up, right? If I'm a single mom, I don't really care about people, you know, they be saying all this weird stuff about single moms. I don't care. Like, you know, I can't make a man take care of his kids. That's not my duty. That's God's duty. So, you know, back then I was a telehealth nurse. And well, when I was teaching, I was working 2 jobs. I was an instructor, and then I started doing home health visits. And it was pretty decent because I was working part-time there, and then the other half of the day I go do home visits, and it was $30 a visit. So that was like $30 an hour. That was it was cool. And then my students was like, you know, the Section 8 thing opening back up. So me and my homegirl went, and then like a year and a half later, I had got a letter that I had got approved for Section 8. I was so happy because I was like, oh shoot, this is the time for me to go back to nursing school. And that's how I went back to nursing school. And so because, you know, I could work as a nurse, but then also my rent was half off, and I was like, thank you, Jesus. Okay, I'm about to do it. I was on Section 8 a long time ago when it was just me and my oldest, when I was 20, 21, 22. And I was like, I don't care. Like, I don't care about stuff like that. You know, I got off of it. I was probably on it for a year because I got off of it and everything because I had got the good heated job and stuff. So I was like, I don't need to be on this. But I was in it because I was in school. So that's when I went back to school. And so I started doing video for single moms who in nursing school. You know, now it be a lot of young kids, child, in nursing school. All these little young girls, child, you know, they ain't got no kids. They single. They doing their own thing. But baby, I have 4 kids. I have 4 kids trying to go to nursing school. And I see people like on a Black Nurses Rock page on Facebook, like a lot of single moms, but I did not see it on YouTube. YouTube didn't have a lot of single mamas going to nursing school. So I was like, I'm finna start putting up my journey of me going back to RN school, you know, a LPN nurse single mama going to RN school. And that's what I did. And a lot of people still watch those videos and comment and see, you know, emails and comments, and I love that. So I'll start putting up more videos about how I did that. And I'm gonna tell y'all something. A lot of things boil down to how we taking care of our kids and making sure our kids don't control us. Because like when I got sick with my hysterectomy, my kids were trying to show out, even my oldest. And you better believe I had jacked her all the way up, and I should not have done that because I probably was only like 3 to 4 weeks in on my surgery. But I don't know who you think you're talking to. Y'all know how these teenagers get. And back then, she wasn't even, hadn't even, maybe she had just graduated. No, she hadn't graduated high school, I don't think. Anyway, who are you talking to like that? And so that's when when you do stuff where you need your kids to behave, like working from home, or when you sick and are going to school, like I feel like that's like a number one important thing, to make sure our kids are reared and like they are disciplined, and you have a set schedule. The same way you have a set schedule in school, that's how you got to do for your kids. And so when I started taking, I had only 2 prereqs to take: chemistry and I think some algebra, college algebra. But I had took this other math class that I didn't even have to take. It was so stupid, such a stupid math class, but I had passed them too. And then in 2020, I was going to take my last college algebra class, or statistics, depending on what nursing school I went to. And then the pandemic happened. But I used to sit at the table with my kids and do my homework. Like, they knew mommy was in school, and they knew when I worked, Papa gonna be coming over. My daddy would come over and take care of them when I worked that night. And so I worked 3 to 11, and then my patient, I did private duty, and my patients shift their hours changed to 7 to like 8 to 8 or 7 to 7, something like that. And so then I was able to work, work that shift. Yeah, 7A to 7P is what I worked, not overnight, because they was too little to be working overnight. But 7A to 7P, and then I sat down with my family, and I was like, hey, this is what it is. I want to go back to school, and y'all remember what nursing school was like with one child, and I got 4 now. Y'all gotta help me. And everybody was helping me. Y'all know, like in the mornings, my daddy would take one child to school, and my granny would take the other, and I'd take the other one. That's how we did it. Or sometimes my daddy took 2, and then I'd take, I don't know how it worked, but it's only because my twins were at a medical, oh no, my twins were in VPK. My oldest was in middle school, and then my middle one was in elementary and kindergarten. So they were all at 3 different schools. And like 2 of them was on the north side, but the other one's on the Wayla, across the bridge on the south side. So like I had to have help, and I had to get to work on time, and then I had to go to class after work, or vice versa, depending on what days I do my prereqs. And I don't believe in online classes, y'all. I can't do no online. I have to be in front of the teacher so I can stop you and ask you a question. Like, I have to be right there. I don't feel like I'm disciplined enough. I had a hybrid course and it was okay, but like I have to be like right in front. So I didn't take chemistry online, but that's how I did it. That's how I was able to go back to school. I had to sit down before. Like, I had already signed up for my courses, but I told them what it was. I'm like, this is what it is. I really, really need the help, because I had this opportunity where I don't have to worry about one of my bills, and all my bills are still the same. But that rent, that was the biggest bill. And I'm like, I still had to pay rent, but it was like a discount. So, I was like, I ain't got to worry about paying full rent. So y'all got to help me. And it was hell, y'all. I'm not finna sit here and lie to y'all. It was hell. Like, I did not, the help that I was supposed to have, I did not have. Maybe like 3 months into the year. It was hard. It was hard. And I was like, but I had already knew it, because y'all know when you go back to school, everything happened when you go back to school. And I was like, whatever. But you just got to get a good support system, man. When I went to nursing school, it was just my one child, my sisters and my mom really helped me when it came to chemicals. You have to be up so early. And so she'll spend the night at my sister's house or my mama's house the night before. And so then I didn't have to worry about that. But, it is hard when you have multiple kids. I know it's hard. So that's why I started doing videos on that, because it used to be times I wanted to quit, and then I was finding a new job. In between working and going to school, I had to stop. I was trying to find a different job. My case was amazing. The pay was good. The mama was amazing. My patient's mom was awesome. She had a specific room for her nurses. Like, she was a single mom too. So when the stupid one went and take one of my daughters to school, then I had to take her to school. I had to take her all the way to the south side of school, and then go all the way on the opposite side of town, like 40 minutes away from her school, to go to work. And I would be late, and it would be no problem. Like, she would just be amazing. She was cool because she understood it, and she got a disabled son. She's a single mom of a disabled son. So, she was so understanding. That was an awesome case. I had that case for a year, and I didn't want to leave her, but I had got the HEDIS job. And so, it was very hard. It ain't easy, but nothing's easy worth having, right? So I hope this live was good. It was so nice talking to y'all. Y'all didn't talk back, but it's okay, because y'all I get to talk to y'all. Y'all know that's how I do on my lives. And I got a lot of good nuggets from this. And I hope y'all take the tips that I gave y'all. Anything I talked about, me losing my home, me losing my job, the remote job, you know, my dad being in ICU. When it's time for my dad's story to be told, I know it's gonna help a lot of people and save a lot of lives. But I feel like just people knowing him being in ICU, my daddy had a fractured, my daddy had a brain bleed, a fractured nose, a fractured elbow, a fractured hip, fractured facial bones in here. And I gotta put up the more on my TikTok and Instagram. I put up more recent videos of daddy talking, singing, dancing, walking. Before the accident, my daddy was walking with a rollator, using a rollator and a cane. My daddy don't use that now, y'all. My daddy had all those fractures and he don't use no aids. Like, he got a pad tube, but he don't, they give, some nurses give him his meds, his pad tube, some through his, you know, some orally, because I'm trying to work on getting that taken out. But because of the brain injury, y'all know how that go. He get confused and he may not want to take meds by mouth and all that. But my daddy is a freaking walking miracle. And I told him, and I said, listen, people gonna know your name. You're gonna save so many lives. You're gonna be a walking miracle. And I meant that with every being in my soul. So May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and I want you to know that whatever may be going on with you, whatever demons, evil spirits, the naysayers, you thinking that you're alone, you sad, you depressed. We all get sad and depressed, and that's okay. We all grieve in different ways, but just make sure that you don't stay there in the darkness, and know that you are not alone in whatever you are feeling. You may be tired. You may be so tired to the point that you're tired and you don't want to be here physically, like be here. And I want you to know that you are not alone in your feelings. To reach out and get help, you can always call 988, you know, which is the hotline if you ever feel that way. But I want you to know that it's mental health awareness. If you know me and been following me, you know I always talk about mental health. Mental health is big because as women, we are so stressed. As men, it's stressful. You have to carry so much as a man. And then as women, we have to carry so much. And it's sometimes you feel like you're alone and people don't understand. And so I want you to know too, to always ask for help. Even if it's hard, put your pride to the side, because there's so many people and there's so many resources out there that will help you. That's why I told y'all I got on Section 8. I didn't care that I got on Section 8 and I was a nurse, you know, them 5 years ago. I didn't care about that. Who cares? Like, I used to talk to my students about that. You know, I'm a nurse, but I use every resource. Like, you better get on some WIC. You better get your food stamps. You know, like I used to talk about that when I used to do my WIC videos and show how you could get all these good groceries with Publix and stuff. I want to get one free stuff with WIC and get their free stuff, you know. But like I talk about that because sometimes people put their pride before help. And it's like, put your pride to the side, because there's people out here that can help you. And unfortunately, your emotions is what, you know, create evil spirits in your body, and you don't realize it, and you will dig yourself so far down. And I get it, when life can get so ugly and it can pile things. And I have seen like the goodness of God throughout all of this, throughout this year, because I just have stayed positive, in a positive light. It was so hard. I have my hard days, but it be so hard like in February, because I always express myself in videos, and I put a lot of stuff up on Facebook. But one lady had said on there, because I was just typing, you know, I just, however I feel, I just type it out. I'm finishing up my book. My book is finished. And so I started typing stuff up, and then I put it as a post, and she was like, just breathe and time, you know, for my dad. Because, and then like maybe a week into him being in ICU, the doctors, I wasn't even supposed to go see my daddy. I was leaving from taking care of my granny, and I said, well, I got to kind of pass by the hospital. I might as well go up here and see daddy, because I wasn't seeing daddy on Sundays. And you know, that's when a lot of people would visit my dad. And I went up there, and he had a lot of visitors that day, but that day, that's when the doctors was talking about extubating him, and, you know, taking him off the ventilator. And I said, what? He said, yeah, he breathing around the ventilator. He's not even really using the vent that much. And I was like, shut the front door. You better shut up. You know, I felt like I could breathe a little bit. But then every time he was making progress, it was something else I had to handle for him. And then I still had to be a mommy. You know, I still had to find somewhere to stay because they was getting rid of the house. And it was just so much. And it was just like, this is a bunch of bull crap. You know, I was with the people with the house. And so sometimes you have to breathe and you have to ask for help. And don't let the devil grab you and take a hold of you and pull you back down in that hole, because that's what it is. It's a black hole. It's evil. And don't let them spirits get in your head. Do not let, like, the naysayers get in your head and tell you what you can't do and what you ain't good enough to do, because you are good enough to do it, because you God's child and God love you. And I'm going to tell you, even if you just say, God help me, it was a lot of nights I couldn't even pray for myself. I listened to, you know, inspirational music. I listened to gospel. I went to a concert last night, and the same songs that I sung over my daddy and sung to help me get through was the songs that I heard last night. And I was like, come on, God, because my daddy is here and my daddy is talking, and my daddy is breathing, and he can walk, you know. And I'm like, thank you. Even though I feel like zone, because now my dad has a brain injury, so it's different. But daddy still remember us, you know. He still remember his grandkids and family and stuff. He remember, you know, different people. He remember songs. It's amazing with a brain injury. Like, baby, they don't forget no songs. They don't forget the artists. It's just amazing. They don't forget different things they used to do, like they could do it. And so I just want you to know, like, don't let evil spirits and the enemy keep you down. Don't. When I couldn't pray for myself, I just say, God help me. That's all I could say. I still do it today when I'm tired. My daughter, my birthday was on the 15th. On the 16th, my oldest graduated from college. She graduated from cosmetology school. And then an hour later, I had to take one of the twins to get surgery. So, like, I was tired. And then the next day, my dad had a VA appointment, and I hadn't rested because from her surgery, I had to give her medicine every 3 hours. And so we finally got her pain under control yesterday. So now it's like, oh, I slept through the night. I feel like I had a newborn, right? And I just be like, God, help me. And I started getting strength from somewhere, and that was God, you know. And so sometimes you cannot pray for yourself, but I'm going to tell you something. Just say, God, help me. And I'm telling you, God will hear you. And just say, God, help me. Because life be out here life and for everybody, not just some people. And people are evil and they mean-hearted and they don't care. But I'm here to tell you, you're not alone, and to keep going. Even if you have to go, take it by a second. Sometimes you can't even take your day by a minute. I remember I used to couldn't take my day by a minute. I had to take it by a second. When the girls were little, it was stressful. It was very stressful. Like when they were toddlers and babies, and I had my oldest, it was hard. So sometimes you have to take your day a minute, a second at a time. And so I'm here to tell you to do that, right? And when I thought I was gonna die, like I'd be in the shower and I'd just be crying, because I'm like, you know, everything is traumatic that happened with my daddy. And then he on the whole ventilator. This man was just at my house, like. So then everything was reminding me of daddy and everything I did, and I could hear him. And I was starting to have dreams. Like, I haven't even talked to y'all about that. Like, I dreamt stuff that happened in real life with him, and it was before it happened. And I was like, what is going on? So, like, yeah, I had a spiritual awakening, and a lot of things has happened in the past 3 months. A lot of things has happened. And so that's why I could be here and tell y'all, like, to stay, like, prayed up, and to make sure you keep positivity in your life, and to prune ugly things out your life. I don't care how hard it is. I don't care. Prune, get rid of that mess. Get rid of it. Don't keep it in your life, because it's just going to keep you weighed down. Don't keep ugly people in your life. Ugly people, far as, like, you know, how they treat you. Get rid of them, because it's going to be the best. It's going to be the best thing that could ever happen for you and to you and to your kids. And, you know, a lot of things that happen to us we don't understand, but it's to set not just us up for greatness in life, but our kids up, and their kids and their kids up in life. But God allow you to go through destruction so that he could bring you right where you want to be. Because sometimes we so hard-headed and we won't listen, and we get in our own way. God got to bring ugly into our life just to get us where he desires us to be. But it's ourselves getting in our way, so don't get in your way. And sometimes you don't know. It's like, well, what am I supposed to do? Just sit still. God will give it to you. He'll give it to you through a stranger talking to you. He'll give it to you through a song, through a post. Like he will give it to you. But just breathe and let God handle you and take care of you. And I'm here to tell you, like, God saves. He is a God of a second chance. And I seen it, but I see it. I have seen it happen before me. Like, in the present time, it happens. And it may be hard. Whatever you're going through, it may be hard, it may be tough, and it may be rough, and you don't see no other way out, but you just be like, forget it. But no, you can't, because like your blessing right there, your blessing right on the other side. But because you want to give up, then you're not even gonna get to see the greatness that God has in store for you. So make sure that you keep going. Excuse me. And that you just stay positive. That's the best advice I could give you. And just keep saying, God help me, God help me, because sometimes that's all you can do. Okay, so I hope this live was inspiring to y'all, and I hope y'all stay prayed up with whatever journey you are in your life. And I'll be coming back on here quite often. I'm going to try my best. Okay, I'll talk to y'all later. Have a glorious, wonderful Memorial weekend. And wherever you are, remember that you are not alone in your adversities, and that you are an overcomer. And baby, you're going to overcome. All right, talk to y'all later. Bye.